Welcome to the Strategy Shift podcast. Today we're joined by Michelle Arnotto, CEO of Pink Zebra Moving. Michelle is helping rethink the moving industry by putting customer experience, service, and culture at the center of the business. Michelle, we're excited to have you today. Very, very excited. Okay, so we're both, Tom and I are always kidding around, and we were like, I'm like, you got it. Michelle's awesome. I said, she's fantastic. And I did a little bit of research, and there's so few women business owners in your industry that I couldn't even find the number. There was a general, it was like 2.4%, and warehousing, logistics, and moving wasn't even listed.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So we want to know, like, did you wake up one morning and say, I want to own a moving company? What was going on there?
I am yeah, that's always a question. No, honestly, moving, depending on which studies you look at, it's somewhere between the third and fifth, top three or top five most stressful moments in someone's life.
Mhm.
And I previously was in corporate. I was in corporate for about 20 years. Part of the reason that my husband and I chose to go into the moving industry was because my skills actually from being in the healthcare industry are really quite applicable in this circumstance. So you think about somebody who is dealing with chronic disease, with acute disease, maybe they're dealing with it for themselves or for their child or for their parent and helping somebody through that moment. That's what I used to previously do, and it seems real applicable to what we do here. So,
And also, from a marketing perspective, I love your brand, right? Because you kind of feminized, for lack of a better word, it really softened the brand because obviously it's a traditionally male-dominated industry. But I would imagine the wives probably make the majority of the moving decision, right?
yeah, they do, and it's funny because the brand. Well, I certainly can't take I would love to take credit for the marketing aspect. It's not my forte, but we do have very talented people who created that brand aspect of it. However, you're absolutely right. It's a moment to kind of connect with people, to talk with them, to understand, what their joys are, what their fears are. It's a conversation starter for sure, and that really helps to move the conversation along. And in the weirdest places, like I have a Jeep and it's has our zebra stripes on it, and people will stop just to talk, right? So it's a conversation starter, and we love it.
Michelle, do you guys do both residential and commercial?
We do. We do residential and commercial. We have a really big move coming up, and it's funny. We are helping not only kind of move the items, but kind of the organization space up front, really that space planning and the relief that people will share with you when you say, "Oh no, we'll take care of that," right? We're gonna help you and label everything and create a plan for where it's going. People are like, "Oh my gosh, you are! Thank you so much," and you're like, "Okay, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to be here."
Yeah. How do you balance, Michelle? I mean, I agree with you. I've moved a couple times in my life, and I'm probably similar to most. And that is, I really hope that it doesn't happen too many times in the future. It is just a stressful situation. There's a lot to do. So after seeing this through the years, like, how do you make that process seamless, but at the same time make a profit? Like the easy win would be let's just throw a boatload of service at it, but service costs money and you have
Oh.
a profitable business to run. Like, what's the balance there of going, I want my customers to be happy, but I also want my company to thrive?
Yeah. It's always I mean, I feel like that's always a balance, Tom, right? You've kind of hit it on the head. However, I think that what we really are focused on right now, we're a pretty young company. So we've been in business for about 2 years. And our goal, I am really invested in making sure that customers' experiences go well. And for us, it's all about that constant innovation, right? How do you drive a better experience for people every day. When I wake up in the morning, that's what I'm thinking. When I go to bed at night, that is what I'm thinking. And, I ask a lot of myself and I ask a lot of my team, right? We're always trying to figure out how do you do this better, right? We take it
Right. And
personally. We love our folks. They're moving. We love to be part of that. So,
so what you're doing is you visualize and you're designing the user experience.
yeah, for sure. And no, and everything, there is a constant feedback loop, and I'm sure you guys feel it too. You have a podcast, right? You're always thinking like you really want to acknowledge the things that are going well, and then for things that don't go well, you're always ideating about, okay, well, how do we tweak
Hmm.
that? How do we make sure that we don't do that next time? How do we make sure that, that we can create a better experience every time? And it's a lot of work and it's a lot of investment, but I think it's what drives us, right? And brings us to a place where where we start, where we dream about things like, how do we do this differently?
How do you do it differently? And also you're viewing it from the buyer, the user. Like what I'm going to anticipate their needs. I want to make sure that this whole experience is positive.
Precisely. And it's hard because when you think about the moving aspect of it, um it's complicated and there's not every we can't control everything, right? So we can't control how your closing's going to go. We can't control if your kids are sad because they don't want to, move schools. I had a woman today, she doesn't want to move her home, but it's a trade-off that they're making because their kids are coming back from London. So when that's happening, it's this commitment that we have to helping people through the process wherever they may be. And I feel like that's for anybody, right? You're not creating the problem, you're solving it. And I think for us, that's what we're always thinking is how do we help you solve where you are right now and drive that experience so it's smooth from start to finish. And you don't have to think about it. We're thinking about it, right? Because we see thousands of moves. And so we have the benefit of all of those inputs to say, what do we do better?
I think the common thread, Adam, and you can we've had many guests on here and from moving to all different types of businesses, but the common thread too in customer experience is communication, right? Like we've
Mhm.
seen that over and over and over again. And the same goes with you, right, too, Michelle. You don't have to be perfect, but the communication has to be good. You know what I mean? If you're going to show up at a time, tell them that you're going to show up on a time. And if you're not going to show up at that time, communicate it properly. If something goes wrong, communicate it and tell them how you're going to fix it. But Adam's business is the same way, mine's the same way. But I don't know how you work things, and I'm curious to understand how your brain works. When you get these insights yourself, or anybody on your let's say an employee in your company, or even a customer gives you feedback or ideas about how to improve, how do you keep those ideas handy and then address them so that you can make the changes in your business? It's tough, right?
Of course, it always is, right? And um, putting those into your system is really complicated, particularly when people are used to doing things a certain way. And, always there's a lot of psychology around this, right? Your brain wants the shortest way to the end, right? What is that shortest way to the end? So it's complicated. We have systems and I think that's critical. That's critical to our success. How do we do things the same way every time? So people know what to expect and when they're going in, they always start in the same place. They always do the same thing every single time. So when new people come into the system, they know how they fit in. And that for us is critical with feedback, right? So we have a systems document. It's pretty long. I think it's 12 pages and we don't expect anybody to read it, but it's the guidance for us that says, here is how you move people, right? So we know that if something comes in, like for example, remotes, people, of course, are very sad. If you get all of your stuff done and then you cannot find your TV remote, I just wanted to sit on the couch and watch TV, right? So how do you have your supplies box where all of your items are in, or how do you make sure that you give that to the owner and say, hey, here are your remotes. Do you want to take these or do you want us to put them in the supply box? So you know that you have one of two options, but you're now responding to what the customer says, right? Because it's those small things, and that's often what, what brings us down is the basics, and it's hard to do that every single day.
Understand, and if you can also expand on, and I know during our initial call, which was great, you talked about taking an idea to action. Like we just talked about that's brilliant, but that sounds like it's your operating process, right? So, but if you
Yeah.
come up, like we're all business owners, right? We wake up 4 in the morning, and go, this would be a great idea. How do you get that? How do you implement that?
Yeah. So that's exactly it. It's shortening that time, it's shortening that time between idea and action because you can ideate on something and then Tom, to your point, now you're 6 weeks away, you haven't done anything with it, you don't even remember because 1,000 things have passed, since that point. So for us, it's bringing it into the system, it's letting folks know right away, it's that immediate feedback piece of it. So, Adam, exactly what you're saying, right? We shorten it by doing two things. We add it into our system. So, and the knowledge is in the process and not the people. And then we're putting it in the people too, right? So now we've put it into the system and now we're putting it into the people. So all of our crew leads go, hey guys, that move is absolutely amazing. Here's one thing that the customer said that was awesome. They really appreciated, how you put the floor protection down on their brand new floors. And that was amazing. And also, there's an opportunity for us to come back next time with our next homeowner and make sure we're giving them the remotes, so it's giving that immediate feedback and making sure that nobody's personal about that. We're all a learning organization and we love to hire in that way, right? Who's going to be open to that learning?
And Tom, I think we've had a lot of guests that talked about the people, processes, and technology. Isn't that right?
100%. I think the two things, Adam, right, like is communication and then just
Mhm.
trying to take what you've learned and create it into a system that's ever evolving, which I loved what Michelle said, like it's just constant growth. Like we're always like just adding and growing and getting better as we go along. Really brilliant way to say it, for sure.
Excellent. And Michelle, you also talked about a good segue from that is you talked about you're excited to learn, right? So why don't you give us some examples about something you learned and then implemented within your business?
Oh man, where do we start? How much time do we have? Because this is,
We got 10
this
minutes
is
left. That's it. So make it
it is
good.
it's really they're substantial, right? So I came into an industry that I knew nothing about prior to joining. And I think the uncertainty uh puts you in a position where you're forced to learn and you're forced to learn quickly and adapt to that, right? So um where have we learned? Oh my gosh. So if I were to think about how we protect things, the importance of every single time protecting things. There are times when we're moving really heavy equipment. So, for example, we could be moving a treadmill, which are I just PSA to everybody, you don't need the treadmill. Please don't have one. Nobody uses them. They're like clothing hangers. Like don't buy the treadmill.
So don't
But
buy it. And not only that, it's super expensive to move it, I would imagine, right?
it's super expensive to move it because every single one of those is different, right? So, for example, in that instance, right, when we went in, we're like, yeah, well, we'll move this, we'll move that. And now I learn and I tell people as part of the process, hey, guess what? That treadmill that you're taking apart, everyone is different. So it could take our guys an hour, it could take them four. Do we want to spend time on that or do you want to call the vendor, right? So there's ways that we've learned to take time and money out of the process for our customers. And when we can do that, they know to really, that they can trust us. We're not going to tell you that we can move stuff that we can't move. And we're going to give you that information right up front. And I think, back to the conversation that we're having, right? It's all about communication and building that trust. So if people know that they can trust what's coming out of your mouth, then they're more likely to do business with you.
Yeah, the other topic that I wanted to bring up, and Adam and I can't help ourselves since we're both on the growth side, like marketing, business development, sales, and all that kind of stuff. Michelle, you're 2 years in, like where are you getting most of your business from now?
Yeah, weirdly, right? So everybody talks about Google and the importance of Google, and it is. I mean, people wouldn't be able to find us, and I find that Google is a big validator
Mm.
of our business and our services. So after people meet us, they'll go and or they hear about us, they'll go and they'll look us up. But frankly, it's not Google. Our business is very relationship based, and this was something that I had to, when I first started, I joined every networking group. I joined every council. I joined everything that I thought we could touch. And what I realized is that was taking an enormous amount of time and it wasn't generating the results because I couldn't invest the time. So I really culled that down to a couple of things that I find extremely valuable. So networking groups for sure, our chamber for sure, and then our stakeholders. So I know for every business it's different. For us, there are people like realtors and stagers and organizers and cleaners. These are great referral sources for us. So storage units, building those relationships and having the referral come for people who know what you do and how you do it, and they can advocate for you. It's a big deal.
Adam, this is like exactly what we've been pressing on quite a bit.
Mhm.
So we've been talking to quite a bit of folks, Michelle, and there's a huge issue, I think, out there for small business space, thinking that in order for you to really grow your pipeline, that it has to come from, let's say, a mature point of view, such as a huge payment in a lot of lead generation tactics or marketing. What we're finding is that actually most of it comes from relationships, and then the perceived value is backed up by whatever channels are necessary, for instance, your social media, your website, or things like that. But the majority of actual clients aren't coming from those channels. They're backed and the trust values there and perceived values there, but most of your actual clients are saying, let's say from customers going, I love Michelle's company. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or like
Yeah.
advocates in your ecosystem driving introductions, referrals, and leads your way. So I love to hear that.
Yeah. And I will tell you, on top of that, it puts a lot of accountability and onus on business owners to do what
Mhm.
you say you're going to do, right?
Mm.
So people want to do business with people who they know, like, and trust. And if they don't know, like, and trust you, then it's hard to do business with you. And I love that. I mean, pressure is a privilege for sure. So
Absolutely.
being able to create an experience for our customers and really live that and own it every day. I mean, it's a lot of pressure on us, right? Because we're thinking about it at night when we go to bed, right? And in the morning when we get up and we live it every single day. But that's what makes it all worthwhile, right? That's why we do what we do.
Outstanding. So getting back to your how you're generating your sales, and you talked about, which we call them centers of influence, right? People who are going to make introductions for you. Have have you made that part of your like formal sales strategy?
It is. We're a smaller company, so we have KPIs around our stakeholder relationships and who's doing what and how often we're going out and how often we're meeting them. We also have almost like account-based management, right? So I feel like networking is is that way. It really is something that you have to actively manage because two things, if you don't do enough of it, you're not going to get the results. And if you do too much of it, you're going to be drained. So there's a sweet spot in the amount of networking that has to happen. But we do have it as part of our formal kind of sales system, and there are KPIs around that.
Outstanding.
Well,
Yeah.
Adam, should I bring it home with the
You
last
should like, bring it
three?
home.
All right, Michelle, we always end all of our shows with just asking this. For the people that are listening today, what are the three things that you would like them to take home? Or if you can't think of three, what's the one thing that you want them to take from this particular show?
Sure. I know maybe we didn't get into a lot of this, but I would say, look, follow your dreams, right? That's for me is the most important thing, right? Follow your dreams, believe in them, understand them, work hard at them, and you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish and where that might take you. Like I said, 20 years in healthcare, I didn't think that that was going to lead me to a place of a moving company, but it did, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the journey every day. Second thing about that is ideas to action, right? Shorten that idea to action time
Hmm.
frame. So if you believe it and you think it, don't let your thoughts kind of get in the way of implementing it. And then really the third thing for me, that consistency of systems and driving systems all day, every day. Formalize it. You don't need to know it, but if you get hit by the beer truck tomorrow, who's going to be able to pick it up and run with it, right? So, that systems thing is critical. So those are the three big things for me, and if, I hope for anyone who's listening that they can take away and know that their dreams can come true if they work hard and look and look to achieve them.
Excellent. If our audience wanted to reach you, what would be the best way?
Oh, well, they can reach me always. We're at pinkzebramoving.com, so you can reach us that way. But our phone numbers are on there. We're answering the phones, so give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. If any questions about moving or starting your own business, we're here. Ask for Michelle. I have a prompt on our number and call me directly.
This was fantastic. We really appreciate you being on our show.
Oh, thanks so much for having us, having Pink Zebra Moving. It was so much fun. We appreciate you.